During challenging times, seeking inspiration from others can be a very powerful tool for personal growth. Hello, I'm Gayatri Prakash, and you are watching Brewing Inspirations by Brewing Reflections. I believe in the power of drawing inspiration from others, and during challenging times, I have turned to those close to me for guidance. Recognizing that not everyone has this support, I created this platform to share diverse stories and strategies, acknowledging that inspiration is unique to each individual. Welcome to my library. When somebody tells you, Indus Valley is valued at 300 plus crores today, does that do something to you? How has it been opening the doors to investors? Because that needs another mindset altogether. It's not easy, right, to let people into what you've been building.
We did see it a little bit as, why are they asking these questions? Are these things needed at this point? Because when an angel comes in, maybe you're doing like a 10, 20 lakh, 30 lakh a month. So isn't this expecting a lot out of us? Because you barely have teams that scrape through.
Have you had, days when you thought, maybe should I pivot from here? It is not working out for me. Or has it always been like rock solid?
We started off offline because my co-founder has significant offline experience. Okay. But then we decided that we could not scale because of the credit cycles. Product and the channel pivot happened very close, so it was fairly scary.
Why do you think people buy your products?
Because they think it's a good choice for their family. So I've seen people make these decisions at a lot of pivotal moments in their life. It's not that everybody goes through that, but I've seen some people really have that.
What do you think is the biggest issue a manufacturer faces?
I think it's skill and talent. I do not know why, but a lot of people look down upon manufacturing for some reason. But manufacturing is a very good job, especially if you're educated.
So speaking about the workforce, what is the most difficult mindset that needs change in the workforce today?
I don't know if it's a mindset, but it's an outcome of social media. The comparison.
Thank you so much, Madhu, for gracing our show today. I think the first time I met you, I realized that I've not met somebody who is so, sure of what she's doing. And it's amazing that you agreed to come on the show. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Madhu, I read this, I actually watched this on a TED Talk, The Singular Theory, where, you continue saying something and people start believing in it. Such an eye-opening, thought process for me, because I feel like most times we try to sell something, but we are not convinced enough on the inside ourselves. So can you talk to me about that a little bit? Because I feel like what you do, you're doing amazingly well.
The first rule to selling anything well is us believing in it.
Yeah.
So when we believe in it is if we have enough data and understanding about what we are selling, and if it actually makes a change for the receiver. The other piece that's very important to me is it worth their time and money?
Right.
So yes, you can sell a premium product, you can sell a luxury product, but does it actually serve their particular need that you're catering to? So we all don't get this right at the first go. We definitely make mistakes. So it's very important to have our ears out. And today, thanks to social media, the customer is loud and clear. They give you so much feedback. All we have to do is listen and keep changing, keep pivoting till where we are happy. To be honest, am I 100% happy where I am? I'm not. But I'm very happy that I have a process to listen to the customers, make changes, keep improving. So I think that builds conviction in me. For me, I'm a very process-oriented person. So I believe in what I sell.
Okay.
I believe that if there's a flaw in what I sell, I have enough processes and teams to fix that as well.
Wow. This is something that is very, very interesting, because for me, I feel like many people, where they fail is to differentiate between process and taking things too personally when it fails, right? What has your journey been like? Have you always been like this? It doesn't work. I know it's a process. Never took it personally, or...
See, if you don't take it personally, you're not a founder. So... First of all, let me define failure.
Right.
So for me, failure is a pause in the journey. So we all face it.
Right.
And we all take it personally. but we take time, we look at why we failed, and then we come back fixing that. So the reason we build processes is as we scale, you are not enough.
Correct.
Your time is not enough. Your capability is not enough.
Absolutely.
You are not enough as a person.
Correct.
Interest and passion will only take you so far.
Correct.
You need a wonderful team with capable hands and brains that will really work on everything. So coming back to that answer which you really want, I think you don't start out there.
Yeah.
But you come there because you really mean well. Correct. You genuinely want to do good. And the only way to do good sustainably is through setting that process and not taking that feedback personally. Nobody's going to come out and say, Madhu did all of this.
Correct.
They're probably going to say, Indus Valley did this. Either good or bad. So if you're able to take the good with all smiling faces, then take all the negative points, think about it, what needs to be acted upon, and fix it. You just have to make it a process because it needs to be sustainable.
Correct. That's fantastic. I think it's so important, right? That you evolve. The process is evolution, but then you'll have to keep focusing on building yourself, building your team. And the focus has to be on the organization, right? After a certain point, it is the organization, not the person anymore. But tell me something, as you said that, you're gathering the right kind of people around you to build this together. How has it been opening the doors to investors? Because that needs another mindset altogether. It's not easy, right, to let people into what you've been building. Can you tell me about your mindset when it comes to having had opened those doors?
Our journey was a little more slower and a little bit more consistent. So the first 4 years was bootstrap for us.
Okay.
So we started in 2016. We had raised our first check in 2019.
Okay.
So the first 3.5, 4 years, we did not have external capital.
Okay.
And even in 2019, we had raised an angel check, which itself brought a lot of good habits and practices in us.
Okay.
But we didn't see it that way in the beginning. We did see it a little bit as, why are they asking these questions? Are these things needed at this point? Because when an angel comes in, maybe you're doing like a 10, 20 lakh, 30 lakh a month. So isn't this expecting a lot out of us? Because you barely have teams that scrape through. But they were right. And we realized that really quickly. It could be simple things like having a proper MIS in place, really understanding where your money is going into, having a reliable partner for your legal or your finances in place. So it could be as simple as that, or it could be deep into strategy. But we started understanding that all of these are necessary things to be put in place and they're good practices. So it did not start out that way. We were wondering, do we have the capability? Do we have the time? Do we have the money? But these are things that start paying you back quickly. And the time we raised our institutional check, it was 2021. So we had 2 years of working with someone on board, listening to their feedback. We used to have monthly meetings. We did have a lot of hard conversations because that gave us enough understanding to build trust that they're in here for the long time and they're coming from a place of good. We also learned how to disagree. So investors do their best. All that said, their core strength is still running a financial institution. They gather all the things that are happening well in other companies and share that with you. Let's say you tend to disagree on a particular point. It's up to you to completely explain to them why and probably come to some sort of a middle ground or an agreement on a point of view. Or you can choose to do a small test and see if that works. They're all complete professionals and are open to that. They give money in good faith on you.
Correct.
So all that said, all you need to have is a very strong relationship with them and build that trust from early on. That also works when you're a little open when things go bad. So when things are not going in our way, we're the first people to tell them that, hey, we're having these issues. If there are some things on top of your mind, let us know. We're working on sorting it out. But if something comes on your mind, let us know. We'll just call them up quickly. So it's something that we've learned along the way. Initially, we did not understand how to react to it, but we saw early results. It really helped us many times they'll tell you things ahead, but you don't really comprehend it. They'd always tell us, like when we were smaller, the first time we raised an institutional check, they said, you should get a team. The team should be this much. We're like, how are we going to get the team? We don't have that much money. But they were right. Anytime you need something, you're supposed to have raised the team at least 3 to 6 months ahead. So they're ready to perform when you need them. So these are things that you might not initially agree, but then you start seeing results and you start absorbing it and you build that trust with them. So, and that's how it worked.
Okay, I also see that, there's so much transparency that you have to create when you have people coming, to your door, right? Tell me something. Why did you think that you needed an investor in the first place?
I know that probably raising institutional capital is not for everybody.
Right.
But for us, it was very clear. So both Jagdish and I come from very professional families.
Okay.
Our parents did fairly well for themselves, but we don't come from business families where they could probably lend us a longer rope when it comes to seed funding or probably help us with a loan or anything like that. We were pretty much left to the funds that we had created for ourselves in the first 3 odd years that we had worked. So we knew that we had created something that's worth scaling. So it's like you build the rocket and then you want the rocket fuel. You had enough money to make a prototype of the rocket, but then now you need the fuel and you need to test and you need the team. So that's when we realized that if we have to do it with our own money, it's going to take significantly longer.
Correct.
Our aspirations are bigger and we have a clear path to how we can get there. And we felt we can create value for everyone across the whole spectrum. So that's when we realized that we need capital, and that's how we went that way. And to be honest, it's one of the best decisions we've made because money is not the only thing it brings to the table.
Correct.
They genuinely bring a lot of experience. They bring connections. They help us see through things which we are not able to see clearly because our head is very much in the business.
Correct.
So sometimes you need a slightly more unbiased but very much interested third party to, kind of say, hey, why don't you look at it this way? So that way it's definitely worked for us, but we've learned how to make things work.
But to tell me something, I remember in one of the conclaves that you spoke, you said, we had to go pitch to somebody who doesn't normally cook. So, it was a tough thing for us to do. Can you narrate that experience a little bit? It was very interesting for me to listen to because not everybody is a user of something we're going to sell, right? Not yet.
I agree. So it's a little bit more tricky in our category because cooking is various levels of misunderstood. So people who are really good at cooking see it as a curse sometimes because they're forced to cook.
They're forced to, yes.
My impression on cooking is as long as it's a choice and viewed as a skill, it comes with great joy because you're genuinely creating something out of ingredients,
Correct.
right? And it's a skill for sure. And people are appreciated for it all the time. The problem comes when someone is forced to do it on a daily basis without a choice. So that's the whole politics around it. And in India, I see a lot of people, especially men, don't tend to cook.
Correct.
It's a very cultural thing. And especially if you're more affluent, then the chances of you cooking decreases significantly.
Correct.
And most of the people who run funds are generally gentlemen who are more experienced. So chances of them having the opportunity to do it is very low. They come from very good colleges. They've traveled the world. They have best of the experiences. So that's it. Someone else is probably cooking at home. They have some support at home who handles all of that. So they might not understand what goes into the choice of cooking. But my customer is not them. My customer is not the 1% of the 1%. She's someone who spends 2 to 3 hours every day, potentially cooks at least 2 to 3 meals every day. So she's spending a lot of time in the kitchen. So all that I'm asking for is a little bit of empathy. But I've seen that has changed over the years, mainly because of more gender representation. And another thing that works is data. So they might not be empathetic towards the customer, but they very much understand and empathize numbers. So we need not be saying our numbers alone. Let's say you can work with a very reputed agency who will run some primary research for you and come up with numbers.
Okay.
So when I tell someone that people cook 2 to 3 meals a day, they're taken aback. And I understand why. Because they're coming from the cream of the society, where probably themselves or their friends might not be doing it. So for them to imagine that someone might be making so many meals a day for themselves and their family might not be very intuitive to them. So let's bring in numbers, let's bring credibility was our go-to solution for that. So I understand that it might be hard for them to probably imagine that, but that's our job to help them imagine that.
Absolutely. And I think you're doing a fantastic job. You spoke about, the empathy factor. What has been your core business philosophy from the beginning until now? Something that has not changed.
So one thing that's never changed for us is the value proposition of health or good for you. We started with offering health through the angle of using natural materials like clay, wood, and copper. hence the name the Indus Valley. We soon realized that convenience was an equally important factor.
Yeah.
So customers wanted health, but with all the conveniences possible. And that's when we pivoted to cast iron and then stainless steel. But we never changed the idea of it being healthy and safe for you. That was a no compromising point of view for us. And that's been our core promise for the past 10 years. And I believe that's something that will never change.
That's fantastic. I think, sticking to your roots, where you started at, going back to the drawing board, have you had, days when you thought, maybe should I pivot from here? It is not working out for me. Or has it always been like rock solid? You never wanted to change? Because sometimes we find it very difficult, right, to turn a profit. Speak about the unit economics today, right? You want to make that work, and largely for your team as well, because you've already built something. Has this conversation ever come about with your investors? Why you're doing this? Why can't you do that? Expansion would be much easier.
With respect to pivoting, we've done pivoting, but we've done pivoting with a sense of product portfolio. We've done pivoting from the point of view of channel. So till 2017, we started off offline because my co-founder has significant offline experience. But then we decided that we could not scale because of the credit cycles. And we took a pause and we said, whoever are the good performing stores, we'll retain them. And everything else will slowly wind down and we'll focus online, which was a hard decision because we had some amount of employees and payables and all of that. But that was something we thought we'll figure out. We have enough money to pay them for the next 3-4 months. So we'll take that time to figure out. If close to that we're not able to sort it, we'll at least pay for their notice period and then we'll help them get a job.
Correct.
So that was our thought process when that was our backup plan when we started that, because you're kind of cutting out your only revenue source.
Exactly.
But that worked very well for us and we were able to scale. The product and the channel pivot happened very close. So it was fairly scary because you have to work out your entire supply chain and you have to change your channel as well. We've had many other such pivots or additions that we've done, but we've always felt if you keep compounding on the core value proposition, that's when people start believing in you. Any good brand, if you see, the ads might get better, the messaging might get louder, but it's technically the same message. If you want to do something else, the easiest way is to open another brand under the same company. The value proposition could be completely different in that brand. But if you try to be everything for everybody, you become nothing for everybody.
Correct.
So the idea is to remain true to your core audience and keep doing what you're doing. Let's say there weren't enough number of people who believed in this as a value proposition, then you're supposed to expand it.
Correct.
Example is how we used to call ourselves a natural cookware brand. We understood it did not resonate with people. So we were defining a feature and not a benefit.
Right.
So the benefit of using something natural or safe is that your health is taken care of. So then you move from feature to benefit.
Right.
And that's what we did. That was a pivot that we offered health. Technically we were, but we started calling it out better.
Correct.
So we might pivot in that sense, but the core will always be good for you, safe for you. The definition might expand. That's about it.
I want to ask you, Indus Valley never does, what do you call big marketing campaigns. You take a very different route. Can you speak a little bit about it and how that has worked for you? Because you're competing in an industry that has giants, right? But you've still chosen to do a very different kind of marketing. So if you can speak about that, it'll be great, because we don't always have to take that highway, right? We can find our own path. So if you can speak about it, it'll be wonderful, Madhu.
Our approach to marketing has always been through digital. First, because it was an easier way for us to access more number of people. And we are a brand that involves a lot of storytelling, a lot of education. So we need a little bit of their time, which you can't afford in an offline environment. And when we started back in 2017, it was relatively cheap to do ads. And if you were a little creative, you can genuinely make a profit running a company just digitally. So those were reasons why we started digitally. And we also developed our core skill sets there, and that's how we did it. We understood there were significant gaps that were available. So gone are the days when just because you're available in certain price points or certain places, people will buy you. It doesn't work that way anymore. People are willing to stretch their budget or try to go the mile for you if you make a significant value addition to their life. They're willing to trust you, give you a chance if you are able to deliver on the promise. So that said, we feel digital was the right way. And it was about the right time as well. So if someone were to have done that 5 years ago or 5 years later, I do not know how that would have worked. I think we were at the cusp when we were all slowly going digital.
Right.
We had a lot of change in service providers. COVID hit and we didn't have a choice but to stick to our phones. So a lot of things were in our favor as well. We were at the right place at the right time. So that also had a compounding effect. And as we kept doing it, we kept learning and sharpening ourselves there. So if you want me to run a TVC tomorrow, I do not know how well we might do it at the get-go. But if you want us to do a full-fledged campaign digitally, I know we are fairly equipped to do that. So it's about what skill set you choose to develop. And it naturally lent itself there.
Correct.
So that's my answer to that.
That's phenomenal. I think what I see is that, I also, I was looking into your page the other day. I saw that the user experience was standing out. You were not just putting something, that was shot in front of the camera for the sake of it, but users speaking about your products. That means they're investing so much time and energy into utilizing what you're giving them, and goes back to the 2 to 3 hours of cooking every day that people do. Tell me something. I saw this wonderful article of yours on LinkedIn, a conversation we have in our house regularly. It's about where we buy our vegetables. You said that your mom likes to buy it fresh from, the local vendor, but you like to go to a proper store that can tell you where the vegetables have come from. Now, this is what it is: traceability and accountability. That's what I want to speak to you about right now. Do you think customers are wanting more and more of this traceability and accountability? How are you seeing that shift happen?
We are seeing a trend towards increased traceability and accountability. It's still nascent in our category. We are seeing it from two lenses. One from the government. So if you look at our category, before only cookware was mandated to have a BIS certification. Today, a lot more cookware is coming under that gambit and will soon be made mandatory. So the government is also getting very technical about this and very sure on ensuring safety and all those other parameters. At the other lens is the customer. So the customer is very discerning. They're very conscious and they're very much reading labels today. But today it's more on food, skincare, anything that goes on them or is consumed directly. But I'm seeing that shift go towards other things as well. And that's why brands like us are able to do better. If they didn't really put a lot of thought into it, maybe a non-stick brand would have done better than us. But because they care is why the difference is being caused. Brands like us do things like we do batch codes. So let's say hypothetically you're having a bad experience with a particular product. Then I can trace your batch code and check what were the results in that particular batch code. And we maintain everything several years back. So even if 2 years later you're having an unusual issue, then we tend to trace back the batch, randomly call some customers and see if others had the same issue. Is that a particular composition that caused that issue? So we have enough data to find out and at least stop if that occurrence is something as a manufacturing defect. So we are very conscious about ensuring that we document all of this. We do lab testing, both third-party, in-house, and at the manufacturer level at each of these batches. We have our quality person stationed in all of these facilities. So we take this very seriously, and we communicate pieces of this to our customer as well. But my point of view on this is that all of this is perceived by the customer. So you feel it many times. You're not able to explain it, but as you keep using it for a few years, you'll be like, I prefer brand A over brand B. There's no particular logic. It might all look the same, but you might prefer a particular brand. So all of that is intangibles that you build over the years.
So today, if you say that this is the right prescription to build a D2C brand, what would it be? What would that prescription look like?
A prescription is hard, but I'll try my best. One thing will be to start with a good solution for a real problem for a small set of an audience. Why I'm saying small is because it will be very expensive to address a large set of audience. So whatever your solution is, it should really solve somebody's problem, enough for them to go out and tell others about it, enough that they really come back to you to buy some more. So early stages, it's enough if you are solving the problem of a very small segment of people. TAM can be built. So
Correct.
you can expand your TAM by building in features in your product or by offering different products. There are different ways you can go about it. But if you do one thing right and you're able to slowly expand, that will be the right way to go. The other is build the content muscle, because it's not like the early days where you can put in a couple of images, run an ad on Meta
Correct.
and Google and make it work.
Correct.
Today, it's about the attention that you're able to take. So no longer is it about things like distribution and all the other things are necessary, but it's no longer a differentiation. So today, are you able to send the message to the customer in the least amount of time in the most interesting way? That's when you're able to capture their attention. So these two things are very important.
Okay.
And the third thing sometimes people miss is ensure you have capable people in your team. I know early days it might be hard to have them full time. Why not consultants? Why not fractional team members? Because we often underestimate the importance of experts, especially in core teams like product building or operations or even finance, because it makes a huge difference. It'll save a lot of time, money, and effort from your end.
Wow. Okay. As you were speaking about where, how and where we could sell, all that comes, you have to muscle up your content and things like that. Tell me something. One of the most difficult things today to do is to get shelf space, especially for, consumer brands, right? You want to be present everywhere. There was a point where everybody was going online. Now you have to be omni-channel, right? You have to be available everywhere. You take a Blinkit, you have to be available there today. How does this actually work? Is it not a lot of effort? Is it not a lot of work to be present everywhere, and where people are actually fighting for this space, right? How do you work on something like this? Because it's continuously evolving. You are having to be in more places than ever before.
I always believe it's our job to be present where our customers want us to be. But it is strategy to choose which one's important and which one's first. So you can sequence things. You can choose to give importance to one particular channel over other, depending on your core skill sets and where your customers are. So for example, we started building out our own channel on Amazon first.
Okay.
Simple reason that it aligned with our skill sets better.
Okay.
The math of it, the unit economics worked very well. So we doubled down on those areas. We weren't very strong on Flipkart to begin with because it did not align with our core skill sets.
Okay.
But we took some time, we scaled in these two channels, and then we went into that channel.
Okay.
We didn't do offline. Like I said, we initiated with offline, but we stopped within a year. We did not do offline till 2024.
Okay.
That's when we re-attempted offline. And this time our strategy was very simple. We had fairly enough presence digitally. A certain number of people did know about us and they have bought from us already. So we went back to our website data. We analyzed where our strong presence is available, and we focused on those states first. We did one state at a time. It's been nearly 2 years and we're still only present in the south, and we're seeding the west.
Okay.
So it's about prioritizing what you are capable of, where your customer wants you to be, and slowly spread your wings out. For us, quick com is also very early days. Again, we're building it very consciously to ensure that we're doing it sustainably. Doing it is the easy part. Doing it well is harder.
Absolutely. And I think when you mentioned the word skill set, piqued my curiosity. What do you mean by skill set? To choose these channels, of distribution?
We've tried many things, my co-founder and I, but there are some things that naturally come to you.
Okay.
Like, for example, I take care of product building, but by product building, I don't mean I'm the technical person. I'm not the person who's drawing the products, or I'm not the person who's defining what is the methodology specification or the process. I'm the person who does customer insighting, finds the product gap, the feature gap, then runs it through the customers, see if there's a willingness to pay if I build in those features. And once that is done, it's the team that handles everything else. That's a skill that I have, which is very much valued for a digital company. Because when you operate in these white spaces, you do really well. My co-founder has the ability to translate all of these features or this goodness in a way the customer is able to understand. So they perceive what value it brings to them. It could be as simple as it saves you time, or it takes care of your health, and so on and so forth, in a succinct and easy to understand manner. and he's able to distribute it well digitally. So these were some skill sets that we were able to build over a period of time.
Okay.
As you keep leaning in on your core skill sets, it start compounding. You can build new skill sets or you can hire for new skill sets. But if it's not something that comes to you naturally, it's a little harder.
Should we be, investing in a community first, or should we actually open an ad account first? I think you've beautifully already answered, but I would still like you to answer this question. Where should one, any brand for that matter, consumer or not, what kind of a system should we be developing?
I think you should obsess over the product. You should sleep, dreaming about the product and talk to a lot of your customers. I've seen that some of the best tech founders talk to the customers, and interestingly, some of the best tech founders know nothing about technology whatsoever. So the burden of wondering if is this possible is removed from their brain.
Right.
See, I often wonder if the more I get to know about production and metallurgy and what's possible, when I'm thinking, there is a little bit of, oh, this is not possible. I'm not left with that childlike curiosity saying, why is this not possible? It's science, but it's not possible. But you kind of set your own limits. So coming back to that particular question of what you should do, my opinion is always build a product at some prototype level, take it to the customer, get feedback, keep building the product, build it for your audience and keep doing that well, and tell it to them how it is good. So that telling is the marketing. You can choose to do it offline, online.
Correct.
If it's B2B, you'll have your relationships that you're building with people. So that's the long and short of what is needed. An ad account is a D2C business owner's choice. If you're a B2B business, you don't need it at all. You could be probably attending conferences, establishing your authority in that space. You could be building IPs in that space. You could become a consultant in that space. So there is a lot of a different approach if it's B2B.
Correct.
But the core is build a solid product, listen to your customer, keep improving it. Ensure that once you have satisfactorily built a product that's worth paying someone's money for, then tell them why they should buy it consistently and help them through the journey from making that decision of should I buy it to I have bought it to I'm using it well.
Right. Fantastic. Really fantastic, Madhu. I wanted to, just ask you, what do you think is your moat? Because this is a word that's trending, but I actually want to know, what is your moat? Why do you think people buy your products? I know we've spoken at length about, what your, philosophy is, but why are actually people buying your product? What are they seeing?
People generally buy our products because they think it's a good choice for their family. So I've seen people make these decisions at a lot of pivotal moments in their life. For example, childbirth. I've seen some people make that decision when they lose a family member or when they have a health crisis at home. So sometimes you need a little bit of a knee-jerk, positive or somewhat mildly negative experience in your life to really look at what you're doing. So it's not that everybody goes through that, but I've seen some people really have that. Our moat is that whatever you buy from us, hands down, it'll be good for you. So I'm not saying that no competitor brand will offer the like-to-like product, but you're always wondering if it's from brand X, is this good for me? Is this safe for me? So we do a lot of customer home visits. When we visit them, they'll take us to their kitchen and ask us, what material is this? Is this good for me? So I've always wondered, why is the burden on the customer?
Correct.
It's not their job, right?
Right.
So the only thing they can do is trust you, pay their hard-earned money, and hope that what you're giving works well and do their job. That's all that they're supposed to do. So it's our job to ensure that we're building things that are safe for them. That's been our moat, and it will continue to be our moat. The only thing that I'd add to that moat is our ability to execute it, because it's very hard to say no. Especially you asked about TAM and you asked about external pressures. The hardest thing to say no for a founder is our own internal pressure.
Correct.
We have certain dreams, we have certain aspirations.
Correct.
You often wonder, should I be doing something else so that I can fasten the growth? But shortcuts are what they are. They are short and they are cuts. So I would call the whole health offering and our ability to execute on it as our moat.
Wow. Amazing. And, as you speak of building, I want to ask today, what do you think is the biggest issue a manufacturer faces? I know it's such a broad question, but, from a bird eye view, what do you think is the biggest problem today we are facing?
I think it's skill and talent. I do not know why, but a lot of people look down upon manufacturing for some reason.
Yeah.
But manufacturing is a very good job, especially if you're educated, let's say a diploma holder or an engineer in the relevant segment. It's a stable career, it's a relevant career, you get to learn a lot, and you can diverge from that into different categories for sure. There is some resistance to get into an actual shop floor and get into manufacturing. I think that is the one of the biggest hurdles that people are facing today. And maybe a little bit of automation might help them, but still we are heavily reliant on people when you're doing manufacturing, and their skill sets are very key.
Absolutely.
So people and upskilling people is something that I see is a big gap.
Okay. In fact, I had a wonderful conversation with one Mr. Paneer Selvam Madanagopal yesterday. And he gave such a beautiful answer. I suggest all the audience also go and watch that video, which I will discuss with you after this session as well, Madhu. But is there something the government can do for this? Because we are, wanting to become a developed nation, but that doesn't mean we can leave back the codes. Manufacturing is still 16-17% of our GDP's contributor, right? We cannot leave such a big chunk of it. Do you think the government can do something about it?
To be honest, I feel there are a lot of initiatives both by the central and state governments that are present. A lot of state governments go out of the way to ensure they're earmarking spaces for industries. They ensure that they're giving them some subsidies, and they ensure that they're prioritizing even things like solar and all of that. So there are good things that are available. But one problem is a lot of people do not know how to access these good things. So the government has a lot of institutions and partners who are with them who can probably help MSMEs get there.
Correct.
Because I see a lot of large organizations aware of this and benefiting out of this. Great for them. But MSMEs are where jobs are created, and they are the OEMs for a lot of these larger players as well. So if we want to build a strong supply chain and ensure there's good quality, I think helping them get to the level where they are and maybe reaching all of these benefits to them also will be helpful.
Wonderful. I think it is important for us to take note of such things, right? As manufacturers, as people who have direct, it affecting you directly. I think it is important that we keep raising these things every now and then. Tell me something, Madhu. See, job creation is something that that we have to do. Just imagine there are hundreds of thousands of children coming out of schools and colleges, year on year. We need to be creating jobs. AI is taking away the clerical work, I would say. I wouldn't say that it's taking the main job here. But as founders, are we thinking about job creation at all? Or are we thinking that we should have lean systems and traceable systems, easily traceable systems in place where, if there is a person, there might be a mistake, right? They might make some sort of a mistake while operating or while keying in something. Or are we looking at job creation at all? Or are we looking at convenience and traceability, which is above job creation right now? What are founders thinking about?
I don't know if I can talk for founders, but my personal philosophy is career building, because I know as an organization, I cannot build large number of jobs, but I can build niche jobs which will help people in their journey. Will definitely be a good place for them to build strong skill sets, because we don't have too many people. So whoever are there are very much accountable for the function that they take care of, which is an opportunity that's very rare. Because I've worked in a large organization. It's lovely. You get to meet nice people, but all that said, your work is a very small cog in the large machine. That's the nature of a large organization. But we are in a sweet spot where we're not too tiny and we're not too large. So the learning opportunity is very significant. So I see this as an opportunity to build careers, because we've had people join in as interns, they're managers today. We've had people join in as associates, they're senior managers today. They might eventually become heads and CXOs. So it's a wonderful opportunity to see people gain skill sets and grow.
Absolutely. And I think, I saw that when I was just trying to check out more information about your company, it said that, it was breaking down how your finance was positioned. Like there's a certain percentage you and the co-founder holds, and the angel investors. And I saw something called ESOPs right there. It was at 2.5%, 4%, which is amazing because you are giving something back to the people who are invested in that work, right?
True.
And I think companies should grow, like you said, not quantitative. You're not thinking about the number of jobs you're creating. You're rather thinking about the quality of work you're giving them, which is phenomenal. I think building a culture like that is what is really required today. So speaking about the workforce, what is the most difficult mindset you've, that needs change in the workforce today, Madhu?
I don't know if it's a mindset, but it's an outcome of social media. The comparison. So it's very human, right? You and I have been there.
Yeah.
Early in our career, we compare ourselves with our peers, because I'm saying like 10, 12 years ago, social media wasn't as commonplace. You didn't have to quickly scroll through your phone. But today you're comparing yourself with the world.
Correct.
And that's so unkind on yourself, right? So a very good employee chose to leave. I was thinking potentially for a better job, but I had a conversation with him to realize he's going to move to a country in hopes that he finds a job there. I found that very brazen. And then I inquired, are you coming from a well-settled family? Then if so, that's very brave of you. Then I understood it was just a risk that he's taking. Then I realized, and I spoke to a few other exit employees, and I found that to be a trend, that people are taking a risk. I understand for higher education or a job, because there's something in line for you to look forward to. And then I realized it's a social media trend that's happening, where people are trying to move to another country, kind of settle down there without having a job or an admit to a good university in place.
Oh my God.
Which these are proven tracks, right? But you trying to go there, it might have worked for person X, because person X might come from privilege.
Correct.
Do you come with the same set of privileges that person X has? Maybe he has enough time and money to indulge himself in that way, but do you have that is something you should wonder. So they're comparing themselves with incomplete information, which I think is very dangerous. See, as an organization, we can live through it, we will survive it. But you get to know all of them as individuals as well, right? You're invested in their growth and you hope that they do really well for them. And we also believe that if people choose to leave us and want to come back, eventually we're happy to hire them. But if this happens, then the person diverges from where they are supposed to be. So these things are something that I time and again feel that it's very unfortunate that you're seeing the highlight reel of someone else's life and comparing it to a real moment in your life.
Correct.
It's very unfortunate.
My God. That's quite, scary actually. But you are right. I think more and more people are, thinking that what they see on the phone or what is put out there is actual reality, which is not the fact. And they don't have facts in hand. They do not have facts in hand. And
they have a lot of dreams, and I think it's being hijacked.
No, it's wonderful to dream, but you should also check your reality, right? And there's nothing wrong in it. I mean, everybody comes with a different set of problems and different set of good things in their lives. It's not that one is better than the other or one is worse than the other.
We deal with the cards that we're being dealt.
Exactly. My God, I'm quite shocked at this, but then I understand that this is what reality has become. But tell me something, is it also that the workforce, the work needs so much attention these days? The quality that is expected of the workforce is also much higher, that they feel a lot of stress. Is that something that has ever come about, in any of your conversations with the people you work with?
So I've seen younger talent talk about that. My experience has just been, I've been employed only since 2013, so I can only talk from the frame of reference from 2013 to now. And whatever I've heard from my seniors in my previous job, all that I can see is that the ability to do your job has gotten easier, but the complexity in a job has become more. So you cannot do a particular profession, learning a particular skill for the next 30 years.
Right.
So we know a lot of our family members would have been an accountant. They would have joined in at an entry level and retired at a senior level. But if you broadly look at it, their core skill set is being an accountant.
Correct.
But today that's no longer enough. So I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Has the narrative of, scaling changed? Why I ask is unit economics has become such a big topic today that people are discussing, that you make every unit you sell a profit. Right? scaling means there's so much more to it. How are investors looking at it? Has this changed that they are starting to focus more on unit economics than the speed or scale of growth?
In an overall sense, yes.
Mhm.
Especially post COVID, there has been a lot of emphasis on the journey towards making profit or profitability. There's more emphasis on health of the unit economics. But to be honest, some of the very good investors we've spoken to have a very clear path to all of this. There's a method to the madness.
Right.
So, looking from the outside in, it used to think like, oh, why are they spending so much money? But if you look at some very well-run organizations or very well-thought-out investors, they're basically investing in building a brand, or they're investing in building a team, or whatever is needed for that organization to grow. And they know at which scale they can turn profitable. So where are you making the loss is a big question. Is that something you can control at scale? Is that something that will turn profitable at scale? Are you maybe building a factory?
Right.
Are you building in assets that's necessary for you? So when we are looking at from the outside inward, it might be an uninformed opinion because we're just looking at the P&L. But some of the best investors, some of the best founders have a plan for it. It might look like they're spending unreasonable amount of money, but it's towards building a moat or a capability which they feel will help them deliver faster and better.
Correct. Fantastic. And I think that's the right way to be doing things. You understand what exactly you want, understand what exactly you're giving, right? Tell me something, Madhu. You spoke about exit strategy for investor, but for a founder, at what point do you think about an exit strategy? Is it when you are unable to scale anymore, or is it when say, okay, enough, I just want to take a break, move on? Or have you ever thought about an exit strategy for yourself?
I don't have a clear plan, but I do have a wish list. And I'll first talk about the potential exit options for a founder. Founder is always free to do part exits through secondary.
Right.
So let's say you're raising, hypothetically, like a 50 crore in capital, and you're in need of a 2 to 3, 4, whatever crore in secondary, which is basically money that goes to you and not the company.
Okay.
So you can always request that from an investor who's coming in. A lot of times, founders have life events that happen for which they would like to set aside some cash, because a lot of us work many years with little to no income, and then slowly your income starts to grow. Most investors are happy to help when it's during a fundraising event. That is one common way founders get some sort of a liquidity event. The other two common liquidity events is one is a sale to a strategic, so which might be a larger company in your category or an allied category, where they'd buy a large portion of your company and eventually buy you out of the company. The other liquidity event is an IPO. So given a choice, I would like to take the option 3 of giving and going into an IPO. One, because I feel there's enough value for us to build into an IPO. And two, I would like to understand and experience that part of a journey. So for me, building a company is about an experience. And for me to scale it, to bring it to a level where we can IPO it, is a very key part of the experience.
Right.
So it's a learning journey for me. A lot of times I wonder what motivates me. It's about doing new things.
Yeah.
So if you're able to build a company from zero revenue to where you can IPO it at, let's say, 1,000 crores with a healthy EBITDA, that's something I'd like to do.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I think, to think that through is also very, very important, because you have the responsibility of an organization that you carry, right? It's not just you anymore. It's not the founder alone anymore. Tell me something, Madhu. See, when somebody tells you, Indus Valley is valued at 300 plus crores today, does that do something to you inside? Does it make a difference? Because
personally, for me, it makes a difference when you're having those conversations, because it decides how much of your company you're willing to dilute to bring in that certain amount of money. So that time we definitely value it a lot, have those conversations in detail, figure out what the number should be, and so on and so forth. It's a very detailed conversation that goes on for weeks and months together. But that aside, let's say the fundraising activity is done, the money is in the bank, it becomes fairly immaterial to me because that was a number that used to be 8 crores, then became 300 crores, and I know what it's going to become next. So it is a vanity metric beyond a point, unless it's an actual sale event.
Right.
So if someone is willing to actually pay money to buy you, that's when you know what you're really worth. A fundraise is a very good opportunity to explore the value. The only reason that we invest interest in that is to ensure shareholding and all of that. But other than that, I don't know if most people in the organization themselves know and realize it. And that's not something that we harp on.
Right.
As an organization, we harp on how many orders we've done or how many people we've reached, how many PIN codes we are at, how many products we've launched. So all of that matters significantly more. We even stop talking in revenue because that again becomes a vanity metric, right? So what are you trying to solve for? Another metric that I like to look at is how many units in somebody's kitchenware are you present? Most homes have 25 to 30 pieces of cookware and pressure cookers. So how many of that are you? So how many times do they get to use your product in a day? Or things like that are more fascinating and more interesting for me.
That's wonderful. I think your heart is at the right place, and so is your mind. I think from our conversation today, I've realized that data plays such an important role in your day-to-day life, and you like it that way. You've built something with information that you have at hand, and you're building towards collecting more such information. I think Indus Valley stands for that. I think where you started with the thought that this has to be helpful, useful for people. It was not there for me. I want to give this for others, and you continue doing that with utmost sincerity. And I think you're extremely duty conscious, which is wonderful to see, Madhu. Thank you so much. I think it's been a wonderful conversation, just sitting across and speaking to somebody who knows what they're talking about. That's important. I think just to, there are people telling, there's a lot of fluff everywhere, and I think it's very, very nice to see someone who knows what they're doing. Just tell me this one thing. Where do you see India headed? I think there's a lot of talk about founders, a lot of talk about entrepreneurship. But where you stand, how do you see India moving forward? Because we are looking at a great, beautiful dream of 2047, becoming a developed nation. From your point of view, what do you think is happening here today?
I'm fairly certain that India will do well for itself financially. So I'm not very much worried about it. India always surprises both the pessimists and the optimists. So you can dream high, you can dream low, it'll always keep surprising you. We grow not because we grow despite and all of that. My only hope is that we grow a little bit more in gender equality and civic sense. And that's something we have to get to our children early, because those things will make a bigger dent in our living experience. And I always like to track HDI along with GDP, because GDP will ensure that you're comfortable. HDI will ensure that you're happy. I'm sure there are better numbers to measure happiness, but that's a starting point for sure.
Thank you for joining me on Brewing Reflections. I hope today's episode brought you closer to seeing yourself and the world around you with a little more clarity, love, and empathy. If something spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need that same insight. And remember, the journey of self-acceptance and mindful thinking continues. Let's keep the conversation going. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, or YouTube, and let me know what's on your mind. Until next time, stay kind to yourself and keep growing.